I was not allowed to play judo because a sport was forbidden for women and girls. But I took the matter in my own hands to secure that right. That was my tool to take the matter in my own hands to create the necessary opportunities, not only for myself, but for other girls. Good morning, everyone. My name is Friba Rezayee, and I am one of the 2 Afghan women to compete in the Olympic Games ever. In a country where it was still recovering from decades of war, it was still recovering from Taliban and American war in 2001 and 2002, I decided to do judo. Just picture a ruined city, a country was just recovering from civil war. I decided to do judo. I did not have proper judo uniform or sports equipment to train, but I had one essential and invaluable tool: grit. I had grit in me from a young age. I remember I was 5 years old, and I remember it vividly today. It was Eid, Muslim holiday, and during Muslim holidays, parents buy new clothes for their children. I asked my mother, where are my new clothes? My brother, as a joke, said, you don't get new clothes because you're a girl. I did not like that. That made me upset, and that made me angry. I wrestled him and I pinned him down until he apologized. My fight began at the age of 5. And I knew that if you have grit, you can achieve anything. In 2004, I participated at the Athens Olympic Games. That was a historic moment, not for the International Olympic Committee, but for Afghanistan. It was incredibly difficult to play sports in a country where it was forbidden for women, and a country that had never sent women's team to the Olympic Games. I was discriminated against. I was shunned by the fundamentalists for playing sports and also appearing at an international sports stage as a Muslim and Afghan woman. But I didn't give up. To me, it was important that I compete and set a precedent for Afghan women's rights to play sport. My participation at the Olympic Games was not just a competition or a sport. It was a sports revolution. It was human rights and women's rights movement. It opened the door for hundreds of girls and women to play sports in a country that they would get punished for, and it will be punished for it now as well. It opened the door for a possibility of sports that it was impossible. Afghan women started playing different sports such as basketball, soccer, martial arts, and you name it, Afghan women played in Afghanistan. And we had set successfully a global precedent for Afghan women's rights to play sport. Growing up in Afghanistan, I was realizing that it was a conservative country, a country where women did not have the opportunity to reach her full potential. And that bothered me because I realized that I have the grit, but I did not have the opportunity. I started a nonprofit organization to create the opportunities for women and girls through sport and through education. This organization is called Women Leaders of Tomorrow. Our mission is to do what my Olympic journey did, to empower women and girls through sport and educational opportunities, to give them access to quality of education, leadership opportunities, access to education so they become the machines of change makers. When I was growing up in Afghanistan, I had a different vision for my country. When I was in Greece during the Olympic Games, I was contacted by a group of human rights lawyers and a group of feminists who highly recommended that I stay in Europe because they didn't see a future for me to return to Afghanistan after the Olympic Games. But I insisted I wanted to return to my home country because I wanted to build my country and to have a professional career in a country where I was born, and a country that I call home. My vision for Afghanistan was that it would have women's team to the Olympic Games, that we would have female astronauts, female pilots, engineers, and world leaders. My vision for Afghanistan was that it had so advanced and modern infrastructure like the rest of the world, and a country where everybody was welcome, where women were welcome. But as we all know, that dream was shattered in 2021 when the Taliban took over back in power. When the Taliban took over power in mid-August 2021, they banned education and sport for women. And that vision was completely destroyed and gone, and everything was halted overnight. But still, we didn't give up. We accelerated our work, our effort, our time and energy to make sure that Afghan women and girls have access to education again. When the Taliban took over, it didn't mean that the fight ended. It simply moved to a new arena. But I am very proud now that we have created scholarship programs for women and girls where we bring women and girls from Afghanistan to study in Canada. One of our programs is called Empowering Limitless Minds, ELM, for scholarship support for Afghan women and girls to learn, lead, and thrive. Many of our students are also the first generation of women and girls in their families who will have access to quality of education and leadership. The purpose of this program is to equip them with the education so they become the leaders of tomorrow and to make better futures for themselves and also to the rest of the world. The beauty of that program is that it was named by the very students that the program serves, a group of young women who want to change the world and who keep learning against all odds. The program, ELM, was also named after the Dari word, meaning knowledge or science, symbolizing both the cultural pride and also the global belief that education is power. And Afghan women and girls have proven that fact. Today, I'm in one of the greatest countries in the world, Canada. I have access to education, I have an organization, and I have access to resources. But if you ask me what is the most reliable weapon and what is the most single powerful thing that will change the world, And I would say it's the only one and only tool, grit. My best tool is, and it will always be, my grit. Thank you.